sorry, Ichigo. I'm afraid I can't go with you this time to Hueco Mundo. Hollows are the mortal enemies of Quincy's. I simply can't go to save Dondochaka. That's okay. We could probably handle it without you. Okay, not exactly the reaction I was expecting, but you actually know what? No, that was the exact reaction I was expecting from you. Alright, have fun. Alright, see ya. Don't get into anything crazy while we're gone. I don't know, Dad. Did I make the right choice? I mean, I know Hollows are our natural enemy, but Ichigo's my friend. That should kind of transcend any archaic rules that our clan has set. I should have went with Hueco Mundo with him. He might need my help. Yeah, that sure does. Dad, are you even paying attention to me? Oh, Uryu! Jeez, when did you get here? Hey, could you go to the store and get me a pack of smokes? I'm kind of out. Dad? Yeah? You are not a good parent. Oh, and what are you gonna do about it? Run off and join the Nazis? Stupid kid. That son of a bitch ran off and joined the Nazis. Okay, so now we get to a character that has actually contributed a fair amount of stuff to the series. You may notice that a running theme with the previous discussion videos I did, the ones with Chad and Orihime, was that I was basically setting it up like Kubo wanted to do cool stuff with them, and he set it up like cool stuff was going to happen with them, but just ended up abandoning that plot line halfway through, or the stuff that we got wasn't nearly worth the build-up. It's like, okay, imagine that Kubo has 3 kids, you know, Chad, Orihime, and Uryu is the firstborn child, Orihime is the middle, and Chad is the youngest. So whenever he's giving, you know, plot line and significant information to his kids, he's just like, okay, Chad, you'll get like the bare minimum. Orihime, all right, I'll try to make something work with you, but not promising anything. Uryu, my boy, oh man, we're gonna get you suited up for this awesome battle armor. We're gonna give you a whole set of abilities and this awesome backstory with your lineage, and hell, we'll even give you an antagonist spot in the final arc. Come on, my boy. You know, that's how this shit goes, really. And let me just say that this is not just bluster I'm throwing out there. This can be proven that Uryu has done significantly more in this series amongst all of other Ichigo's friends, okay? This isn't like, you know, I don't really care for Chad, I don't really care for Orihime, but I really like Uryu, which is true. Uryu is one of my favorite characters in the series, but it can actually be measured him doing more stuff than Chad and Orihime, alright? Like, for example, in the Soul Society arc, he's the only person, aside from Ichigo, that was able to actually critically injure any captain. In fact, if that captain was not Mayuri, he would have won. Like, hands down. Not only that was he able to take a critically injured captain, he was able to split a fucking Bankai in half. Even Ichigo wasn't able to just easily just completely shred, you know, Zenbone Sakura Kageyoshi. It took him to difficulty there. Now, you also might be saying, well, Mayuri's Bankai might not be on the same level as Byakuya's, but the fact of the matter was that Uryu did that with very little effort, okay, like, at all. Like, Ichigo had to put up quite a fight for, you know, in order to beat against Byakuya. Uryu was just one arrow pwned, okay? In fact, you know, yeah, I think this was an even fight. I think this could be an even fight right here. But it's not just that one instant. Like, look at what Uryu accomplished compared to what Chad and Orihime accomplished in that arc. Orihime, you know, like I said, she's not really a combat fighter, but she did have that one moment where she kind of stood up to the 4th seed of the 7th division. It was Jirobo, the Wind Scythe dude. And she was standing up to him, and it was just like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool for her character. And then you have Chad, who fought against Shunsui, and that had that flashback with Ichigo, and he's running towards Shunsui, and he releases that huge awesome energy burst, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty badass. It didn't win, but, you know, it's pretty badass. And then we have Uryu, who all of a sudden gets this awesome badass armor that he pulls out of nowhere and completely KOs a captain and a Bankai in one single attack. Yeah, a little bit of unbalance there, I'm just saying. And then that opens up a whole little sub-arc with his powers that was going on for a while there when he loses his Quincy abilities and he has to try to get them back. So that's an arc right there that had a very well-done conclusion with him, with us being introduced to Ryukin, his father, which I'm going to talk about probably a lot more in the video. Just to hold off on that for a second, because a lot of shit I want to say about Ryukin. But yeah, that arc had a good closure there. In fact, that was around the same time when Ichigo was struggling with his hollow powers. So I think that's a good parallel between them right there. And moving on to just Hueco Mundo. You know, is it any weird coincidence that, you know, Chad and Renji and Rukia kind of get pushed to the side, but Uryu is the one that actually helps Ichigo, you know, at least in his battle with Ulquiorra a little bit. Like, you know, he gets pushed to kind of the front stage and even takes on Ulquiorra. I mean, I love that scene. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, oh my god, he's gonna get his ass kicked so bad. And Uryu's intelligent. He knows that. He knows. He sees Ulquiorra and his Segunde Toppa, grabs Ichigo, blasts a fucking hole in his chest. He has to be standing there being like, I ain't got a fucking chance with this dude. But, you know, Orihime's right there. I'm the only one left standing. I gotta at least give it a shot. So what does he do? He runs in, freaking leaked Reagan, tries to take him out, and he at least contributes a little bit there. And even moving on to the Fullbringer arc, he does at least contribute a little bit more to that than just Chad or Orihime did. So I have to say that at least in every single arc, Uryu has at least, at bare minimum, contributed more than Chad and Orihime, making him more of Kubo's favorite. Next to Ichigo, but Ichigo is the main character. But hey, I'd be cool with Uryu being the main character. Like, that's not me just saying it just because I'm a fan of the dude. Just, like, considering all the shit he's done so far, I'd be totally cool with him being the main character. Give him a side story. I'd read it. Fuck yeah. I mean, I would go on to say that it's like a comparison between like Naruto and Sasuke. It's not quite on that level because with Naruto and Sasuke, Sasuke at least had his own, like, you know, there was a good like 80 chapters in Naruto. I don't know if you remember this for the ones that just started reading it or anything, but there was a good 80-something chapters in Naruto where we didn't even focus on Naruto. It was more focusing on Sasuke and, you know, gathering Team Heavy and taking on like various members of the Akatsuki and kind of just focusing on Sasuke's little time while Naruto just goes off and trains. There was a brief moment with that, so it's not like on that same level of just like they're both equal main characters, but you know, Uryu is still a very prominent main character that the series would not be able to stand on at all if he was just taken out of the picture. Okay, so just moving on down to the final arc, because Uryu does play a major role in this, as I've said. There's a couple of things we need to still know about this. The first one is, and I already made kind of a skit about this at the beginning of the video, but why did Uryu end up joining the Vandenreich, or the Stern Ritter? How did this come about? How did he get approached by the Stern Ritter, or did he approach them? Did he already know of their existence? I'm sure Uryu's a pretty intelligent guy. He probably already read about, like, Yhwach, and, like, 'cause it was stated it was, like, Quincy folklore, so I'm sure he at least knew the story about Yhwach and all that crap. But, you know, did one of the Stern Ritters approach him, like Hashwell, and say, hey, we want you to join us? And if that's the case, then, you know, Uryu say, because it's very ambiguous. It's like some of the Stern Ritters don't trust him, yet he received a very high rank. So if it's a matter of, like, brainwashing, if it's a matter of him being manipulated against his will, then none of the Stern Ritters should feel, like, antsy about him being around. They should all accept the fact, like, oh, well, he's being manipulated, so it's all cool. So that's clearly not the case. He clearly picked to go there to them of his own free will. And him being there, that's causing the other Stern Ritters to be like, okay, well, particularly Hashwell doesn't trust him as far as he can throw him. But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense for him to be there of his own free will because he's aware of what Yhwach did to his mother. So this is a very glaring issue that we need to find out about, you know, what are your opinions on it? Because it's something that I just really don't understand, like the bridging the gap here. You know, 1 minute he's in the world of the living, you know, Ichigo and the friends go to Hueco Mundo, and the next time we see him, like 60 chapters later, he's just already inducted into the Stern Ritters. He already has, he's the letter A. Yhwach gives him a power, completely has his faith in him. I mean, you could say that Yhwach bestowed him with the power of the A, therefore he has control over Uryu because, you know, part of Yhwach is in Uryu, but that still doesn't explain how he joined to begin with, you know, like why would he even choose to do this? I mean, maybe to take down Yhwach from the inside, but yeah, I don't know. Does he really think Yhwach is going to fall for that, or did he really think it would be that easy? I don't know. And also you have to consider a couple of those times when he was trying to shoot down Ichigo at the Soul Palace, he was aiming for kill shots there. At least I was thinking. Like that one time he shot an arrow, if Ichigo didn't catch it, he would have died. It would have went right through his neck, you know? So, you know, I don't know what the hell's up with him, but we need to find that out, like, ASAP. We don't even know what he's doing right now, because he was stated, like, all the Schutzstaffen go off to fight against, you know, the different groups, you know, like Pernida fights against Kenpachi and Mayuri, you know, Shunsui's group taking on Lille Barrow. Uryu went off to one of the extensions, like the second plateau or whatever, but we don't know what he's doing right now. So, you know, my theory on at least what they're going to do with Uryu, you know, there's going to have to be a bunch of stuff filled in the gap, but I thought it would be pretty kick-ass if the final battle of this series, if it really truly is going to be against Yhwach. Ichigo has to be a part of that, obviously, because he's the main character, but it would be pretty cool to have, like, a tag battle between, you know, we have Uryu and Ichigo fight against Yhwach, and, you know, they do something in order to seal Yhwach away or do something like that, because I've said this a million times, this battle with Yhwach, it's not going to end with Ichigo just, you know, Bonkai, and then gets a Tensho the size of the moon and then crashes into Yhwach and I hit him enough times and he's down and we win and he's dead forever. That's not how this shit's gonna go. It's gonna involve something else, probably more metaphysical, whether or not Yhwach is gonna be alive or dead or sealed away or something like that. And I think Uryu is gonna be a major part in that. I mean, that flashback we had with Masaki, you know, that meant just as much for Uryu's character as it did for Ichigo, learning about his mother and learning about Ryukin. So let's talk about Ryukin a little bit here, as a little just deviation here. I want you guys to understand my frustrations with Kubo when it comes to Ryukin. Alright, like if I've ever met Kubo, like seriously met him one day, and there's a translator involved, or I know how to speak Japanese at this point, and I can only ask him one question, this would be the question. Why would you make an arc focus primarily on the Quincy's and not primarily focus Ryukin, who is the only one of the only two remaining Quincy's that we've known about in the series up to this point? Why would you not focus on him for at least the first 150 chapters of that arc? Like, there was the flashback, but that doesn't count. That's a flashback, all right? I want to know what's up with him right now, because all these Quincy's are around and fighting against the Shinigami, and you think that he would be involved somewhat in an arc focused around his fucking race. I mean, it's been an instance where I don't even think we've seen him once this entire arc. Not a single time. Outside of flashbacks, of course. Oh, wait, no. There's one moment. There was one instant, I think this was not in the flashback, where, well, and actually it might have possibly been, I don't know, but whenever Isshin is wrapping up his story to Ichigo and he's explaining that, you know, Katagiri was Uryu's mother, we see a brief scene where we see the inside of Ryukin's office at Karakura Hospital, and we see a picture of Katagiri on his desk, and he's just looking out the window. I think that was supposed to be interpreted as present time, but we don't even see his face. We just see him looking out the window, and he's in the shadow, and it only lasts like one panel. That's the extent of Ryukin we've had this entire arc. All right, and it's not like there's not anything that he's not relevant anymore. Of course he's relevant. You know, there's still a bunch of stuff we need to know about his past with Soken and everything. We didn't even get to see Soken in that flashback, which was odd. You know, because they've referenced a couple times, at least the Sternritters have, that Soken Ishida, and therefore the Quincy way that he lived by, you know, everything, that was outdated and that was archaic, and Yhwach is like the way of the future. Okay, elaborate on that. You know, like maybe Soken and Ryukin and Uryu were raised on like this different method. That's why their let steals were so different from the Quincy Volt standing and shit like that. You know, so there's areas that you can explore here. I mean, I want to say that Ryukin is going to show up, preferably with Isshin, and, you know, have some sort of encounter with his son that might result in a battle between father and son. That'd be pretty kick-ass. But it's just, you know, there's so many characters already like thrown in the Soul Palace. Like, how would they even get there at this point? Like, I mean, I know Uruhara's there and he has a connection with them, so I guess there's maybe something he could do to get them there. But it's just like they haven't been referenced really at all. It's like Isshin, this arc has just been really used as just a vehicle to explain Ichigo's backstory. It's really setting it up like Kubo's not planning on utilizing Isshin and Ryukin in this final battle at all, which is kind of a major letdown considering they've been so mysterious for so long. But anyway, yeah, that's a discussion. It kind of went off the rails there. I went from talking about Uryu to talking about Ryukin, but Ryukin really does. He is an enigma. I mean, if I had to just pick one character to get more spotlight, it would probably be him, because I really like him. He's freaking badass. Don't give a fuck about anything. You know, just he's kick-ass, man. I like Ryukin. All right. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. But yeah, okay. So next time we'll be addressing Ichigo's character. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That'll be a fun one. I'm sure I won't have as much enthusiasm, but maybe. We'll see. Catch you back here next time, guys.